So, welcome to the demo of It Oxy. This app currently takes a Lovable site and it puts it into WordPress, specifically into Oxygen 6. Now, there will be an add-on at some point to take an Oxygen Classic site and also put that into Oxygen 6, but for now it's just to Lovable. The reason being that this is the use case that I needed. I use Lovable as my designer and I can now build a site. I spend some time in Lovable to get it all right. And then earlier on today, I managed to build a site in 2.5 hours, going from Lovable into Oxygen. And then I created all the components that I needed. I connected all the dynamic data that I needed, and I sent it off for the client to review in just under 2.5 hours. So this will show you, first of all, what you need to do in Lovable. So assuming that you have your Lovable site and you're happy with it and you're ready to start using it, the first thing you need to do is you need to connect it to GitHub. So in the settings in here, you come down to Git, and then you need to sync your projects with GitHub. So this one, I've already set it up. It's already connected here, but if it wasn't, I'd have the option to connect it here. And then I get the repository URL. So that's the first thing you need to do. Now, the next thing you need to do, obviously, is to install all of the plugins. So this is just my basic plugin stack. I've got Oxygen, I've got It Oxy and the Lovable add-on. And I've also got light mode for Oxygen 6, which will make it look similar to Breakdance, but I'm not using Breakdance, I'm using Oxygen 6. I just prefer a lighter canvas. And then I've also got Breakdance elements and Breakdance forms for Oxygen. So the first thing we need to do once we're on the site is we need to come over to It Oxy. And we need to add our license. So over here, I've got my license from my Builder Kit site. So I come back to here and paste my license in and activate. So once you're active, if you come back to the Lovable tab, you can see that on the pre-flight check, we've got Oxygen, we've got the 2 add-ons installed. These add-ons are needed because you occasionally need an element out of the Breakdance Elements extension, and you occasionally need a form for a contact page or something. And if these aren't here, then the pre-flight check will fail. So next, if I come down into here, I need to connect it to the GitHub repository that we just made. So first of all, I need the repository URL, which I can get from the Lovable project here. And then next, I need an access token. So I haven't set that up yet, so I need to follow this link to create a fine-grained token. And I have got one in here that I've connected to various projects before, but I haven't connected it to this specific GitHub repository. So I'm just going to grab my authenticator token. And then verify. Okay, so now I need to give it access to another repository. So if I edit the access in here, and then I need to find the one that I just created, and I can't remember what it's called. It's called Relentless. So come back in here, start searching for Relentless, select that, and then update. So now that's done, I can come back into here. If you haven't set this up before, it would show you the key. If you have already set it up, it doesn't show you the key. So I've got the key saved. So I'm just going to go and grab the key out of where I've saved it and paste it into here. Okay, so I've pasted the key in, so I'm just going to save the Lovable settings. Oh, I'm going to tick the box first, and then I'm going to save the Lovable settings. So now that's done, we can come down here, and we can go to the next step. One thing I'm just going to pause and show you, actually, is that on this site currently, the only pages are the example pages, and if I come into Oxygen, templates, headers, and footers, there's no templates, there's no headers, and there's no footers. So there's absolutely nothing in this site. It's a brand new site with some plugins on. So anyway, if I come back to It Oxy, the next thing I need to do is I need to have it compile the project. So what that does is it goes off to GitHub, it grabs all of the project files, and it goes to compile and render them. Now, the reason this is needed is that if we look at the Lovable site from the front end, it's not compiled properly, so it's really hard to find the correct HTML markup and all the correct CSS and so on and so forth. Whereas if you sync the project to GitHub, then the Lovable plugin, it can compile it, it can go and look at it, and it actually has access to all of the parts that are needed to create the full project. So that's why we need this step. So I'm just going to press this here. It will take a few minutes, so I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, so that's now finished running. It took 3 minutes 25 seconds, and it's kind of gone and collected everything that it needed to from Lovable. So if I come down here and press next, then we'll now come to import routing. So this tells you about everything that it's found on the site, and what you can select here is the type of item it is. So I know that the header is a header, the footer is a footer, footer, and so on and so forth. all of these, I believe, are going to be pages other than services, personal training. You see, ideally, I could import that as like a single template, I suppose, and I think that's what I'm going to do here. So, in fact, I'm going to go back to Lovable quickly, and I'm just going to check if those two pages are similar, or I'm running a bit slowly. So in my services, could these use the same template is the question. So I've got 8 items there, a call to action, a list of items. So if I then switch to the other service, I've got 8 items, call to action, a list of items. So I think what I should do here is normal services. I'm going to have that as an archive, so that will be a template. And then services, personal training, I'm also going to import that as a template. And then services, sports, massage, I'm going to skip. The reason being, once these are in, I can then add advanced custom fields to the services post type, add all of the data that I need, and then connect it in the back end. Team/slug, that's basically saying any team member would be a child of team, so that would also be a template. And then I could also have Julian or Sarah. So actually, I think I'm going to skip team and slug. I'm going to have Julian as a template, and then I'm going to skip Sarah as well. So that should be the mapping that I need to get most of the data. So if I come down here again, these are the variables that it's picked up on from the Lovable site. So most of these are sizes, but down here I expect that we should also have some colours. Yeah, so down here we've got all of the colours. So, and then in these columns, if I scroll back to the top a second, anything that says ready can be imported directly into Oxygen. This current status is that it hasn't been imported. And then down here, this one's going to be CSS only, so this will be put into a style sheet. And it's the same with anything that's CSS only. Now, there are some of these that I can probably add mappings for, but I've never run this site through this Lovable adapter before. So once I've recorded this video, I will look at some things that haven't quite come in properly, and I will add mapping for calculated values. If I come down here a bit more, we in Oxygen, I know that we can't support this type of transition, so I know that that definitely has to be CSS. If I come down a bit further, these type of gradients are too fancy for Oxygen's gradient builder as well, so in this instance these will need to be CSS. So I'm just going to come back to the top of this section, and then I'm going to import the variables. So it has told me that I need to rerun the Oxygen CSS cache tool, but I don't, because we don't have any content yet. If I come here now to generated CSS, this is the result of us running those variables as well. So in here you can see that it's added a few gradients and it's added a few line height values and so on and so forth. Anyway, let me come back to the Lovable tab. And then we got as far down as variables, so now I'm going to go to headers. So it's found one header. If you had other headers on the site, you could choose to overwrite them via this drop-down box, but as you saw earlier, we don't have any headers yet. I'm going to call it site header, and then you can choose where to assign it. So in this instance, I want the header to go everywhere, so that's totally fine. And I'm just going to create and update headers. Cool, so that's done, and again it's suggested that I regenerate the CSS cache, which I'm again not going to do because we're still working on things. So the next one for us to come to is footers. And again, it wants to create a new footer. It's going to call it site footer, and we're going to assign it to everywhere. So all of that's fine, so we're just going to create and update footers. And again, it's asking about the CSS cache. So the next one is going to be pages. So about, we want it to create a new page. Again, we could connect to previous pages if there were any. So we're going to call it about, and we want the URL to be /about. Cancellation policy, again, that's fine. Contact is fine. Cookie policy is also fine under cookies. Gym, we don't want that to be called private hole gym in Attleborough. That's a mouthful, so we'll just call it gym. That's the home page. Memberships, we're just going to call memberships. We don't need to unpack. Privacy policy is fine. And then recovery room, we don't need the location in the title. I'm not certain why this is wider than the page. I guess I've got something really long here that I haven't seen before. Anywho, I'm just going to create and update all of the pages. If you didn't want to run them all, you can deselect some of these options, and if you were to do that, it will only run the current, run the selection of pages. Anyway, I'm just going to create and update pages, and it will report back in a second to let you know that it's done. I'm just going to pause the video. It won't take long, but I don't need to waste your time. Okay, so that's just finished. It's told me that, again, I need to do the CSS cache, but I don't because we're going to go down to templates next. So if I come down to the end of this section and press next, then it will drop us down to templates. And so services, I'm going to call that service archive. And it's not going to map to anywhere just yet because I haven't created the post types. So I'm just going to save this. And then hop over to ACF and add some post types. So the first one I need is services. And I want it to have an archive of services. And then I think the other one that I need is team. So I'm just going to come back into post types, add a new post type. Team. And this one I actually don't want an archive because I only want them to be clickable from the About page. So that's fine, I'm just going to save this. So now if I come back to make it Oxy, and we'll drop down to templates. So services, we want to call it service archive, and we want to apply it to archive services. Services personal training, we're going to call it service single. And then we're going to apply that to single service. And then this one we're going to call single team, and we're going to apply that to single team. So now we're happy with that, we can create and update the selected templates. So again, I'll just pause the video until that's done. Okay, so that's complete. So now I am going to go and regenerate the CSS like it keeps suggesting. Which is under tools, regenerate. And I'm just going to close these two GitHub tabs because we don't need them anymore. Nor do we need builder kits. So I just want to clarify that I've never ever run this site through Make It Oxy before. Everything should work, but it depends if Lovable has done something weird in this build that is something that I haven't accounted for in all of the work that I've done previously. But I'm just going to go to settings, reading. I'm going to apply the home page. Which is relentless. And then we're going to view the front end of the site and see how it looks. There we go. So most of these links should work. So it knows that that one is gym, that one's recovery room, and so on and so forth. And these should link to the actual pages as they've been imported. If I come back to the media library, then the media from Lovable has been imported as well. And then if I come down here, so this one, it deliberately goes to an external booking platform that my client uses. If I come down here to see memberships, it should take you to the memberships page. Let me just go back. So we've got all of these. These should all link to the correct services. Not that I've made those services yet, but once I make sports massage, it will be nested under services, sports massage, and so on and so forth. Book a session again takes you to their external booking thing. Get in touch should take you to the contact page. So everything's coming really well. And if I then open this page in Oxygen, and then if I open the structure panel, you can see that all of the elements have been imported here. So if I select this heading element, you can see all of the classes that have been created over here, and then you can see the text itself in the text area. So this class, for example, empty-6, this will be the margin top class, and if I edit it, you can see that the margin top is 1.5 rem. Now, the class names might seem a bit weird to you, but it's because of the... I can't remember what the framework is called that Lovable uses. But anywho, these classes are from the framework, which I'm hoping will come back to me, but I can't remember what it is at the moment. So LG text this is going to be one that only works on larger breakpoints, which is why it has a media query in here to set the font size. And then when you're at a screen size smaller than this media query, then text 5XL will take over and the sizing will be set in here. If I open the variables tab, then you can see we've got all of these fonts in here. We've got a load of colours, we've got a load of sizes, and these will all be referenced via variables in classes when they're needed. If I come down here a bit more, let me just find an icon. These are normally, these are Lucide, I'm not sure. Either way, these are icons from these lovely people that make a lot of icons, and they're all added into Oxygen properly, so you can see that they're all in here. They look a bit weird in this pop-up, and that's because these are line icons, but Oxygen doesn't support line icons out of the box, so they all have a fill applied to them. However, we have this class line icon, and this CSS does some magic to make the lines work. So if I come down here a bit further, everything looks pretty good. All of the text is in here. This one will have some kind of bold font on it. I will need to do things like, so for example, this is their testimonials. These are legitimate testimonials, but I don't particularly want them static in a page. I'd really like them to be in a slider. So what I will do is I will convert one of these into a component. I will add a testimonials post type. I will add all of the testimonials, and then I'll turn this into a slider. But this has just saved me hours and hours of development time. So let me just go and grab another page so you can see another page. I'll go to the contact page. So again, all of this is looking pretty good. This form here, it has created a breakdance form, which will be somewhere in this structure. So in the form, you get all of the fields. You can see that some are asterisks. They have a star. And ideally they should have come through as required fields. They haven't, and that's something that I'll just need to address. And then actions, it's got the normal email and store submission that you'll need to set up afterwards. One thing it does seem to struggle with is it can't grab the map HTML code. So I'll just need to grab a PHP element in here and find the correct map embed code for my client's place. But otherwise, I probably need another hour or two to go over this site and connect everything that's needed, but on the whole, it's looking great. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye.